And so it's very important to be around other people. The quickest way for an agent to quit and die in this business is isolation. If you isolate yourself, you are going to quit because you know how to talk to yourself. You know how to tell yourself not to do something, right? The typical New Year's resolution. I'm going to do this. And it starts off a week or two and then it goes away. Motivation that lasts for a couple of days. The key is being consistent and dedication. I appreciate you having me on, seriously. But essentially, I will show you guys this. Everybody's been asking about this. So this is the belt. Okay. I know you got to see it close in person, but this is the big old belt that you actually win. It says 25. Question is, who is gonna be 26 winner? That is the big question because we will have one. And I don't think winners can compete again. But I was talking to Roger and I was like, hey man, since I won, does that mean I get lifetime access to these boot camps? I don't have to pay for them anymore. Right. But no, man, I saw Jason there, I saw Clark there, Brian. Dude, there's so many people there that just came out to see what they're made of. And I remember my first time I finally, it was a couple of years back, I finally like remember the day I was like, man, what am I actually made out of? Like what can I really do with this business if I went all in, right? In the beginning, first couple of years, Mike, like you're just trying to figure out how to sell. You're just trying to figure out, can I really make this work? And you're just trying to figure out, can I support my family? Can I really sell? How do I raise the stakes? How do I gain trust? So you're like going through these different emotions, and then you start realizing, okay, I don't need the script anymore. I'm the script. I can kind of navigate the conversation. I understand when to utilize the script and when the conversation opens up to raise the stakes. So you kind of understand that process, and you get to a point where you're like, man, I realized that all this game is all about is just if I just buy more leads, right? It's just fuel, right? So it's like, okay, if I can do X amount of production with 100 a week, what could I do with 150 a week? What could I do with 200? Heck, what could I do with 500 a week? Oh my gosh. And you start playing this game with yourself of what am I really made out of, right? What can I really do and what can I really push? And so once you get to that point, and Clark did it. I mean, Clark was the GOAT. He's like, I'm gonna see what I can really do. And he did it. He went out there and he did 100,000 in a month. And then you start asking yourself, man, if I can do 100,000 a month, can I do two? Right? And you start playing these little small games because again, this business is kind of boring. And so we have to kind of gamify it a little bit. But I had that epiphany. And I don't think I did 100,000 myself 1 month, and I don't want to do it again. But I was like, okay, I can definitely do it. I don't want to do it again. So it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and you still want to enjoy life. You want to be able to have a family, and you realize, okay, if excuse my French, if shit hits the fan, I can go out there and I can pay all my bills if I need to. Just put my head down and grind. If it's a hard season, I know I can generate income to take care of my family. And once you get to that point where nobody can like put a thumb on you and tell you you can't make any money, dude, that's freedom right there. When you get to a point where if I just put my head down and I can generate 10, 15, 20 grand a month, 30, 40, 50 grand a month, and nobody can stop you, you're the one that controls it. That's freedom. That is to me financial freedom. When you have the key and you know how to use it. Because there's months where it gets pretty tough. There's months where you get really really good in an income. But when you put your head down, you're like, honey, we're gonna go on that vacation. And you put your head down, you work, and you're like, I can do this. We got to a point when I started, Mike. You get to a point where you stop thinking about, hey, how much things cost, and you start looking at things like, oh, that's two apps. Okay. Right. You're like, all I got to do is two apps. I remember we're putting a bunch of trees in the back of the yard, right? And it was like 17 big old trees my wife wanted, for some. And I was like doing math. I'm like, okay, I just need 4.5 more apps. That's all I do, right? That's all I need. And that's how life started. It's like all we got to do is figure out how many apps. But I will tell you this, and if you guys have questions, please speak up. I'm kind of rambling here, Mike, but the telesales boot camp, hey, if you haven't been to one, I challenge you to go one because it's such a unique experience. It's like no other experience out there. Like there's no other IMO or anything like that that does it the way Lasting Mark does. It's crazy. They actually listen to your phone calls. I came from a boot camp, lock-in as we called it. They bring in the carriers. We get into one room. They talk about the products, and somebody comes in, speaks, and then everybody kind of disperses and everybody goes their ways, right? But we don't really learn anything. Nobody really gives us the actual process. When I started, Mike, they gave me leads and they gave me a script and they're like, here you go. And I'm like, well, thank you. And then it was up to me to figure it out. And I can't imagine like Clark and Brian were right behind me. I mean, they were on my tails and they are in the business for a year. I've been at it for 8. I can't imagine where I would be today if I had that kind of training that they did. You know what I'm saying? It was insane to watch these guys keeping up with me. I mean, I was going to this boot camp and I was kind of second guessing myself. I'm like, can I really do this? Do I still have it? Can I make my family proud? Can I make Roger proud? Clark was like, I want to see you lace up those shoes. And I'm like, man, what if I don't have it? So you start having this doubts, even though I've been doing this for 8 years, I start having doubts. And I imagine there's so many people on this call and you're just starting your first year and you're having doubts now. I have some good and bad news for you. It doesn't go away. Okay. You just learn how to manage it. You learn how to talk to yourself. You learn it's like a check engine light. When you start talking really negative to yourself, that's a check engine. Like, okay, I got to switch the channel to something else. I got to listen to something better. Because if you're not going to talk good to yourself, who will? You got to pop yourself up. You got to look yourself in the mirror and you got to sometimes be delusional. Talk to yourself like, I am the best. Right. And I had to look myself in the mirror and I'm like, I'm just going to give it everything I have and whatever happens, happens. But when you get in that room in these telesales boot camps, man, everybody wants to see everybody win. And I love it. I genuinely love it. It's like a bunch of piranhas, right? It was like they can eat a shark if they needed to. But they're all playing well together until the lead comes in, and then we all start fighting for it. And we start fighting for that sale. But I every time I felt like, yeah, being delusional. I mean, to some degree, something that I heard somebody say, you have to be crazy to do this business. You have to be a little bit nuts up there. But if you think about it, everybody that has achieved anything massively was a little cuckoo. Was a little crazy up there. It takes a crazy person to do something crazy. Okay. And if you explain to people what you do on a daily basis, I'm serious. Like if I tell when I started this business, when I told my mom what I'm doing, she's like, oh, why don't you just go get a normal job? Just get a normal job. That's crazy. What are you going to be selling? Some life insurance? What's that? Nobody needs life insurance. And that was my mom, dude. Like my own mother was like telling me to go get a job. And so you got to watch out who you talk to. And you have to be a little bit crazy to do this. And I was, and I still am. It's who I am. But when I saw Brian and Clark, man, they're going up there, started putting these shots on the board. There's something internally that starts festering. You're like, I'm not gonna let these fools, I'm not gonna let them beat me. And you start pushing and you start going the extra mile. And ultimately, if it wasn't for Brian and Clark there, I mean, those guys really had me on my toes and I have massive respect. I mean, even Jason was there and he was really pushing. Actually, Jason was the first one on the board, dude. Did you know that? The sucker was first one on board. I was like, dude, what is happening? Like, we didn't even start calling. Dude, yeah, Jason was already on it. I was like, okay, they came to, they didn't come to play. They actually wanted to win. But um, so the 2.5 days, and I'll try to kind of get into some details, but the 2.5 days didn't start in those 2.5 days. For me, the boot camp actually, the competition started a week ago, and I was prepping a week ago, meaning that all my activity, all I was banking on, Mike, was massive momentum. I was just banking on momentum. Like on Monday, the week prior to the event, I started sending so many messages out, activities and voicemails. I think in that week span, I sent out like, I don't know, 30 to 50,000 text messages and voicemails to people, right? Jason is laughing. He's like, oh, that's what happened. So what happened was when I came to start working, I had 400 people ready to start talking about life insurance. Like they responded, yes, I'm interested. I kind of revived all these old leads. I started buying some new leads, and then I invested like $2,500 on call-in leads. And I was like, I'm ready. I'm all in. Like, let's go. We're gonna play. We're gonna play big. And as I was texting people, as I was taking phone calls, I was on call-in leads. And at one point, Mike, I was getting frustrated because no call-in leads were going in. And I went over to Chris. I was like, Chris, what's happening, bro? Like, can we get some leads coming in? Like, you guys told me this is like you're gonna be ready for me. I requested these call-in leads to go to 8 o'clock, and I'm sitting there, nothing is coming in. So I have to call, my leads, dude, I don't know how many times somebody would call in on the calling leads like this is free. I'm like, no, it's not free, and I pay for it. I just kept moving. Like I was expecting all that stuff, and I was just looking for the one that wants to buy. And so I was ready. I was prepared to spend, and I think I ended up spending close to, call it 6 grand. It was about $6,000 with leads and text messages and call-ins and everything else. But I did that week. I ended up with close to 45,000. So the ROI is actually pretty good. It's just a matter of, are you willing to spend, right? You got to spend in order to make. And so to me, I don't look, well, I hate the word. Roger teaches me not to say spend. He says invest. I'm sorry. I got to say invest. But to me, it's investing in your business. And so, yes, I did invest a lot of money, but I got it back. And I knew that. And so when you realize that, it doesn't really make a difference to me. There is a diminishing return because you can't get to it all. And so you start having to clone yourself because there's too many leads out there. Let's be real. That's why we build a business to help people because I can't do it all by myself. Mike can't do it all by himself. We need other people that are willing, that we can clone ourselves, who are willing to go do that. And that's why we have a business. If I could do all the leads myself, I would, but I can't. There's no time. I don't have enough time in a day. So you need other people to help. There's too many people out there looking for life insurance. And if you're questioning it and you're going through a bunch of people that are like, oh, I thought this was free. I thought this was something else. I thought this was that, and they're not buying, just move on. Those are not the right people. You'll have those. I still have those. We're just looking for a small amount of people who are willing to take care of their family. That's it. And we're willing to help them. And so for me, I wanted to prove a bunch of people right. I wanted to, Roger was like, you need to win. I'm like, yes, sir. Clark was like, I wanted you to win. Brian was like, I wanted you to win. And everybody was looking for me to win because if I didn't win, then it's like, man, you've been at it for 8 years and you can't win. It's like, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure. But I did give it all. Fred was there next to me sitting down and he needed an app with a Baltimore Life. And that was the only thing I helped. I was like, all right, I'm going to help. And I did help him with the Baltimore Life application. Usually in the boot camps, I go around and I help people and I listen to phone calls and all that stuff. But this time I didn't. I was just head down and working. At one point, Roger was talking to me and I had no idea what he was saying. He was just saying something. I had my headphones on. had my music playing, and I was eating a sandwich, and I had text messages, calls coming in. It was just chaos. It was just multitasking on steroids. And Roger's talking, and I'm like, "What are you saying?" And he's like, "You're eating paper." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I was eating a sandwich, and it was wrapped around paper, and I was eating it. I wasn't even paying attention, and I was eating the paper. That's how busy I was. I just kept moving. I was just feeding my face, and I was just moving, moving, moving. Um, and there were so many people that I talked to. I don't know, it's probably 20 or 30 people. I got to think about it. Some people didn't want to give me their social. People didn't want to give me their banking information. I went through all of that. Everything you guys go through, I went through it. Doesn't change. It doesn't change. The thing that changed for me over time as a brand new agent, I just get quicker. I just move on very fast and I just call the person. Um, I did see Brian and Clark. They made a sale and then they kind of walked around a little bit and talking to people. And I was like, nope, can't do that. You got to make a sale, got to move on to the next one. You can't think about it. At one point, I made a sale and I gave Tim was next to me. I was like, Tim, I don't have time. I got another call. So I gave him the sticky pad to go change my my number on the board because I was moving on. I was going to the next one as quickly as possible. Um, and I didn't let my emotions get the best of me, even though there were times where I got frustrated because I couldn't get anybody on the call. We had a gym down the hall, Mike. So I went to the gym and in literally 10, 15 minutes, did some chest, some squats, some pull-ups, and then went back to my seat. And whenever every time I felt something, I went to the gym just to work out a little bit, just to get that frustration out. But it was a really cool experience. I would say if you haven't been to a boot camp, it is something you guys should strive for 2026. I'm telling you, it is going to change your business for the better. And not don't just go for one. Every single time you go to a boot camp, it's like leveling up. The first time you might go to a boot camp, you might only figure out how to make an appointment. That's it. That might be your first boot camp, right, Jason? First, I don't think Jason, did you write anything your first boot camp, Jason?
Uh, the first 2 days, no. The third day, I think I had one or two policies after that.
One or two policies. Yeah, yeah. And what did you end up doing at this boot camp?
This is my highest boot camp ever, and I did after my fourth. I think this was my fourth boot camp. This week was 7,300.
7,300
3 days, 2.5 days.
in 2.5 days. That's a doctor's salary, bro. That's a doctor's salary you just did in 2.5 days. Think about it. And there's no debt from school. You didn't have to pay all these different colleges, and you're going to out earn a doctor. It's insane. Like this business can change your life. But his first boot camp he went to, and thanks for sharing, Jason. I mean that.
Yeah.
And I love watching Jason. His character, gosh, dude, you got so much character. I love. If you haven't followed him, you guys should follow him. He's pretty cool. But no, first boot camp you go to, you're just it literally you're not competing against anybody. It's gonna be you against you. Your first boot camp, it's gonna highlight, it's gonna show all your weaknesses. And then you have a choice to make. Are you gonna push against that? You're gonna make peace with it and you get better, or you're gonna quit. That's what the first boot camp, hence boot camp, right? That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to show you all your flaws, everything you're doing wrong, and it's going to show you all how to do it the right way. And then you just accept it or you don't at that point. And Jason accepted it. And then he came back the second. He came back humble. He came back ready to learn, right? The first one is going to break you down. You're going to learn. You're going to learn to be humble. This business would humble you pretty quick, very, very quickly. Um, and then the third one, you start picking up traction, momentum. Fourth one, fifth one. I mean, Clark goes to every single one of them just because there's so much value. You get in the same room, right? Birds that flock together. And so it's very important to be around other people. The quickest way for an agent to quit and die in this business is isolation. If you isolate yourself, you are going to quit because you know how to talk to yourself. You know how to tell yourself not to do something, right? The typical New Year's resolution. I'm going to do this. And it starts off a week or two and then it goes away. Motivation that lasts for a couple of days. The key is being consistent and dedication. Doing it when you don't want to do it. Doing it when you don't feel like it. Doing it when things are hard, right? You can talk to yourself crazy as much as you want, but make sure that dialer is ringing. You can be mad at yourself. You can feel like, I don't want to do this. This sucks, whatever. It doesn't matter. Talk to yourself. But as long as that dialer is working, it doesn't matter. You're still making activity. The activity is what matters in this business. And what you'll realize is the more activity you make, the luckier you get. I had the thing that really took me over the edge. This was a brand new lead, just came in. I called him and he was in the car. And he's like, man, Elvira, I don't want to waste your time. I've been trying this forever. I'm about to turn 65. I'm paying $1,200 a month for a term policy. And nobody will accept me for anything else. You shouldn't try. I was like, dude, I understand. But imagine if we could do something to save you a bunch of money. How would that feel? Right? Would that be important to you once you retire? The problem was he was going to retire, wouldn't have enough money. He was going to lapse it anyways. I was like, I think I can get you approved. He's like, all right. So we ended up getting him a $500,000 policy with AMM for $742 a month. But did I plan on that sale? No. I just kept making so many activity. My activity was so high that I got lucky. But if you don't do the activity, you're not going to get lucky. It's not like I was looking for that sale. It just happened to get in front of me. I was there at the right time, at the right moment, and I was just there. And I capitalized on it. And that's how business is. That's how leads are. You never know when people are ready. There's so many people I talk to, guys, on the phone. I remember I was talking to a guy 2.5 years. I wouldn't say talking to him, probably harassing him for 2.5 years is a better term for it because I probably sent so many text messages and voicemails. And he probably didn't even remember filling it out. And so what I did was I called him. He answered the phone call and he doesn't remember filling anything out, but he is on his way to his brother's funeral. And he's like, call me in 2 days when I finish my brother's funeral. I think I need some life insurance. Guy had no idea he filled it out. It was just the right timing. Called him 2 days. We got him a policy. This business is all about something happening to other people's lives, and we just have to be there to help them with it. Timing, absolutely. One trick I would tell you guys is when you're talking to people, even though we don't physically see them, your demeanor should be approaching clients as, how can I serve you and how can I help you? Right? I always have people on the phone tell me, well, what are you selling? I am selling nothing. What are you looking for? The way this works is you tell me what you're looking for and I'll try to help you. And I position myself so instead of me talking to them face to face in front of them, like I'm trying to force something to them, I like to have this imaginary conversation where I'm actually getting beside them and we're locking arms together to help their families, right? It's a visual expression of how I like to talk to them. And it comes off through my conversations where I am literally here to get you where you need to go. Like I'm taking your orders and let me get that order for you. It's like when you go to a restaurant, you order a plate. They're the ones that are going to put it together. You know, the client's not going to tell you how to put the plate together and the dinner together, right? That'd be weird. Hey, let me order a chicken sandwich. You go back, you do what you got to do, and you bring it out to them. They told you. But it'd be weird if you have to convince somebody to buy a chicken sandwich. You know what I'm saying? It'd be so weird. And then after you try to convince them to buy a chicken sandwich and they're sitting in your store, and then they're like, I got to think about it. It's so weird. You know what I'm saying? But it happens. People are weird. But what I'm trying to get to is when you approach it in a way of, I'm genuinely here to help you. I'm not trying to convince you. I genuinely don't even care if you buy or not. I'm just doing my job. And you at the end have to decide if this is something you want to take care of your family with. Right. Now you guys have to understand the sales framework that we have is probably one of the best ones. If you understand how to create trust, creating trust is done with empathy and authority. And you got to have that balanced pretty good. It's like this delicate if you're making soup, right? You're always testing it to make sure it's good. And so you always have to sprinkle a little bit authority, a little bit empathy, and you're just like doing this delicate dance with the clients. And then the conversation will present itself where you start raising the stakes. The conversation tells you when it's ready, not the script. The script is a guide on how to do it, right? Here's how to raise the stakes, but the conversation tells you when to raise the stakes. Does it make sense? You just hear it and you're like, oh, internally you realize, okay, it's time. I got to raise the stakes. And then we have a way to do that. Here's a guide on how to do that. But that's not the end. Sometimes you have to raise the stakes higher. The other day I had a lady and I didn't think it was going to go that far, but we got a policy on her and I hit a nerve and it was about her youngest son. He was 18, passed away, baby boy, in a car accident. And I hit a nerve there, and the lady cried for 15 minutes. And I was just consoling her at that point. There was nothing to sell at that point. It was just being there for other people. And at the end, we got a policy on her because she didn't want her kids going through it. Right? When you raise the stakes so high, the client will tell you how to sell it. And that's where the important part is. Prices don't make a sale, right? And I'll prove it to you. If you knew you were going to die tomorrow and the policy, $1 million policy to leave your family is at $10,000, you would find $10,000 today because you're buying money with money. You see the value at that point. Hey, you're going to die tomorrow. In order to leave your family $1 million, you have to pay 10 grand. Everybody would do that. Everybody would take that deal. Absolutely. Because there's value at stake. The stakes are so high at that point. And so when you learn the art of being able to help people, genuinely help people, it starts becoming fun. You start having conversations with people. You start having fun with people. The other day, somebody said, well, what are you selling? And I was like, well, life insurance. You want some? And the guy said, well, why do I need life insurance? I was like, I don't know, man. Last time I checked, everybody dies. And he started laughing. And again, we're just having fun at that point. So, but if you guys have questions, please. I'm just rambling on, Mike. I'm genuinely just rambling on. Hopefully, I'll give you guys some value here. But I'm teaching everything that Lasting Mark teaches and Life Insurance Academy teaches. One good thing, Mike, that I really enjoyed, and I was talking to Chris about this. Nobody was there to teach me this framework that Life Insurance Academy has. I wish I had that framework. Like you guys don't understand. When I started, I wish I had that framework. I came from the car business and I realized, okay, we had like 10 steps and that's kind of my framework, but I never really had words to put down of how I actually sold. Like when I started selling, I had to like physically feel my way through the presentation of when it was time to make a sale. Like I kind of had an idea, but I wasn't really 100% sure. I knew I was trying to get their trust. I understood that concept and I was raising the stakes to make something important, but I never had words to what I was actually doing. I just kind of figured it out. I'm like, okay, this works a little, this works a little, but I never had actual words to it until I met Roger and Chris in the Life Insurance Academy. because they did everything that I did, but they were able to put words to it, like raising the stakes, creating trust through empathy and authority. And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm doing. Okay, I finally understand it now. Like it took me like 4 years to really like get that down, right? And every time I tried to teach it, the typical industry teaching is just do more, just get more leads, make more appointments. And that's great. And that is part of it. But what if we can use a framework to help you sell more too on top of that? And that's game changing. Otherwise, you're just going to be banging your head against the wall and going through, I got to think about it. I got to think about it. Hey, $50 a month. I got to think about it. And you're just going through it until you figure out what's actually happening. That's why I love Roger and Chris's system. It's so good because it's genuinely designed to sell life insurance. It's an amazing way to sell. And people have been doing it for a long time are actually doing it that way. Now we just have words to put towards how to sell it, which is awesome. Um, but yeah, I don't think I think everybody on this call, genuinely, I think if you guys put your head down and believed in yourself and you invested in yourself, I think every single person on this call could hit Hall of Fame. That's $500,000 that you paid. Every single person could, if they wanted to. That is the question. Do you want to, Jason? Right? And when you realize how do you get there, it's just fuel, activity, and fuel. And everybody can do it. It might seem like it's far away, but man, when you get 6 months into it with your head down and you look up and you're like, man, I'm third away there. Oh my gosh, it's crazy what this business can do once you pick up momentum. I remember there was one young lady, I'm not going to name her, but she was at our old practice company and she went from 20, $30,000 a month. She's a stay-at-home mom, single, 4 kids. She went from 20, $30,000 a year. Last year she did 1.2 million by herself. And we had a cruise and she was on there as well with the old company. And I say, what changed? And she's like, I took it serious. I went all in. I stopped playing small. And what does that look like? For her, she maxed out all her credit cards and bet it on herself. That's what I did. When I started, I had a $10,000 credit card. I bet it on myself. I said, if I'm going to go down, at least it's going to be by my own doing and not somebody else. Credit card got maxed out. And I say, well, what do I do now? I got another one. And it just kept going. And those are hard moments to really think about this business is you start realizing in order for this really, really to work for your family, it's going to be tough. But you have to go all in, everything, all in. Because if you go halfway in, you have a scapegoat. My philosophy is if you want to take over the island, you got to burn the boats. Because the real you comes out when it gets pushed to the corner and got nothing left. What do you do then? Everybody's going to be in that. Everybody on this call is going to go through it. If you haven't, it's coming. I promise. That's how life is. Everybody's going to get pushed to that corner. And then that's the real you come out. Either you're going to stop, you're going to crawl up in a little corner and cry, or you're going to get pissed off and fight back. Two different personalities. And sometimes in this business, you just got to get really angry. Not at the leads, not at the people, but at yourself. Because you realize your potential. You realize what you really have. And you know you can do it. I mean, everybody on this call is here because they genuinely feel like I can do this. But something is off. Something might be off. And everybody's off is different. My off was I didn't have consistency. That was what I was getting mad at. I was getting so mad. Yes, could I sell? Yeah. I was lazy. A couple of years I was lazy. I didn't want to. I wanted to make 2 or 3 appointments and try to close every single one of them. That was me. I used my skill set to outrun consistency, and that doesn't work. But if you just, I'm telling you, this whole thing, this whole business is all consistency, 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 consistency. That's it. Nothing else. Use the framework. Keep a good attitude. Show up smiling, even though I have a resting bee face. Well, not anymore now that I'm shaved. But come in a good attitude. If you don't have a good attitude, try to fix it. I tell my wife, please don't tell me anything negative until 12. Learned that from what's his name? One of the motivational speakers. I forgot. But he said, don't tell me anything until after 12. I don't need to know. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do. All the bad news that's out there, there's nothing I can do. I can only focus what's right in front of me. Not what happened yesterday, not what's tomorrow, not what's going to happen. It's right in front of me. Call the next person. When in doubt, call the next person. If you don't know what to do, call the next lead. I called him, Sergey said, I called him a month straight. Call him another month, buddy. Let's go. Right? That's it. I love what Clark says. I'm going to keep calling them close to a restraining order. I love that. So true. The longest lead that I worked was 4 years. 4 years. That was the longest lead, and I closed it after 4 years. And I said, Miss Betty, you know, if we did this 4 years ago, you would have had a cheaper rate. She's like, I know, honey, I know. But she was not ready. Timing wasn't right. And it's still on the books today. Are you going to get charged back? Absolutely. But buckle up, Buttercup. It's coming. If you don't think you're ever going to have a chargeback, I was so delusional, Mike. Oh my gosh, I started, I'm never going to get a chargeback. Me, not me. Never going to get a chargeback. First chargeback I get was my biggest policy I ever sold, $4,200. Oh, I was so mad. Gosh, consistency was my hard part in the beginning. What else? Anger was my hard part in the beginning. I could not control my emotions. Every time I would get a rejection, I mean, that's my wife. I would have holes in the walls in her office, and we had to patch them up because I would get angry. I couldn't control my emotions. Man, I was like straight up roller coaster, up and down, up and down, up and down, all the time. But again, that's part of the process of learning who you are and what you can deal with and how to get better. It's not just about the script. It's also the person you're becoming over time. It's also the person you're becoming for your family. You start changing slowly. If you've been doing this at least for a couple of years, you've been doing you realize that you are a totally different person when you started than you are today. Totally different. And I think that's where the real magic happens. It's like you have to become a different person in order to attract that kind of success. It's there. You're just not ready for it. You become a totally different person. I was very zealous in the beginning. I didn't want to get on any phone calls. I started complaining the leads sucked. I mean, I was the offender of all the offenders, guys. I was that guy. I remember having a conversation with one guy. I'm like, dude, these leads suck. Nobody's picking up. He's like, okay, go get some else. I got some else. And they were still just as bad. That's where my philosophy comes in. They all suck. All leads suck. But I can still make a living with all leads sucking. And I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. But any excuse you guys can think of, I probably used it. And what it came down to at the end of the day for me, I had to look myself in the mirror, Mike, and I can only point the finger at me. That was it. People around me were trying to help me, but I was not ready. And then one day, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that's what happened. I humbled myself to accept the teachings. And once I humbled myself, that's when everything started clicking. Even to this day, I still don't know everything. I want to believe I do, but I don't. I hear so many good things from Clark and Brian all the time. I get on trainings on Life Insurance Academy on Thursdays all the time, and they say things. I'm like, man, I can use that to my arsenal. Because over time, you start losing more than what you're retaining, and you got to refreshing yourself all the time, just like doctors do, man. I remember my doctor, he reads all the time, and he's always trying to stay up to date to all these different things because they're constantly reading on new things. And we have to be the same way. We have to stay sharp because at one point you can get very creative on how to help people. The more you know, the better you can get. The authority level goes up. Like imagine if a doctor comes in, he's like, I don't know, man, what's going on with your leg, but when I get there, I'll figure it out. No, that dude ain't messing with my leg. Like I'm gonna go and get a second opinion, right? If a doctor comes in, hey, I know what's going on with your leg, this, that, and that, right? You got some issues here. I think we could fix it with this. If not, we'll try that. And you're like, dude, whatever you got to do, here's my leg. You got it. You can fix it. Confidence, authority. He knew what he was doing. I'd rather have him do it. But it takes time, it takes repetition, it takes consistency, it takes being plugged in, it takes being a part of a culture that wants to see you win. And you will know when you're a part of a good culture. If you've been a part of a bad one, you'll know it. I was a part of a bad one. But we are in a really good space right now. Lasting Mark is such a healthy company, and I hope it doesn't change. I love Roger, love Chris, good, genuinely good people wanting the best for you guys. And every time I'm talking to Roger or Chris, it's like, hey, how can we do things better? What do you think we can do? They're always worried about that. And I love that. I genuinely like that. But yeah, anything you guys can think of, I went through. I probably I quit so many times, but one thing I'm really bad at is quitting. I mean, I'm stubborn. I get mad because like I don't know if you remember, but like growing up, we would play basketball all the time, Mike, right? Street ball. And every time I lose, I'm like, one more, let's go, one more. I can't leave until I win. Like I'll lose 100 times. I don't care. Like I will bet the house. Let's go. I don't care. It's 12 o'clock at night. Nope. One more, please. One more. I gotta win. At least I gotta win so I can go home. And that's how I am. Right. Sometimes I remember I was working one night and I couldn't close anything and I wanted to close something so bad. And I got so mad. My wife walked in. I was like, honey, not today, not right now. Don't talk to me. Like I need to get one. I don't care if it's $3 a month. I need to get an application. Like I don't care. And sure enough, I got one. It was like $75. But I needed. I had this goal to hit, and I needed to get one every single day. I wasn't going to stop until I do it. But I got mad at myself, and I kept going. Some lady picked up. She's like, "You realize it's 9:30?" I'm like, "Yes, ma'am. You filled this out. Were you still, I just went back to the script and kept going, kept grinding. But it's that type of the determination. It's not about you against me or you against anybody else. It's you against you, nobody else. And when you realize there's no competition besides you, it's crazy. This business can change so many things. I mean, just this year, I mean, we've been, I'll tell you from experience, like took my family, went on the Alaskan cruise this year, 7 days with the kiddos. My wife and I went to Italy for 10 days. We actually even got one of those flame lane pods, in the airplane. I mean, it was good money. Went to Disney World this year with the kiddos for 10 days. And then my wife and I taking a cruise at the end of the year. But it wouldn't have been possible if I didn't grind. Like imagine if I quit that first year I wanted to quit. We wouldn't be here today. Jason, 5, 10 years from now, you're going to look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I didn't quit. But there's going to be moments you're going to quit. I remember, I don't know how much time we have, and if you guys have questions, but I remember I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, right? Nashville, Tennessee. And this is when we were going face to face, Mike. I don't know if I told the story or not, but I was going to do a trip to Memphis, and I spent $1,500 on direct mail leads. This was 17 leads, $1,500. 17 leads, $1,500. Just remember that. 17 leads for $1,500. Okay. Direct mail. I bought those, kept calling them. I made like, so we would call Friday, Saturday, and we would set up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I was going to go to Memphis. And it's about a 3 hour drive. And I was going to stay the night there. And I went there, and Wednesday night, I started driving home. Didn't close a deal. Not one deal. I was out $3,500 at that point. And I was driving home. It was 10 o'clock at night. And I wanted to drive off the cliff. I wanted to drive off the cliff. I'm going to go home, tell my wife nothing happened, didn't sell anything. What do I do? Right? I wanted to quit. Just doesn't work. Just doesn't work. But what you guys don't realize, the week before I did $7,000. But that week I wanted to quit. So all of a sudden, your mind just starts playing tricks on you like this week is going to be the total outcome of your entire business. No, it's just a week. It's just a week. It's just a day. It's just a month. It's just a year. It doesn't change. The founders of this business have been around for 30, 40 years, this mortgage protection IMO business, right? And some of them didn't make it until they started really doing it for 30 years. This new generation of agents that are coming through, man, you guys have such a leg up on anybody else that's been doing this. And it's a lot easier with leads, with doing it over the phone now, remote. Before we had to, when I remember my mentor, Mr. Sylvester, he was 73 at that time. When he was doing it, he had to go house to house to pick up a check to pay for that policy. And he's like, you don't understand how lucky I am. And I was like, you don't understand how lucky you are. I'm like, I mean, how lucky am I? I had to go to people's homes and do a paper application. Now you guys don't even do paper application anymore, right? It's just changing. The business is changing, but it's changing for better. We get to help a lot more people. And life insurance is the insurance companies know that life insurance is hard to sell. And that's why it's the highest paying product out there. It is. It's the highest paying product out there. That's why they pay such good money. It's crazy. Like you can spend one application, let's say you make $700, $800, $1,000 on one application in an hour's worth of time, or you can go work for somebody for 40, 50 hours and make that $1,000. Pays such crazy money. But yeah, I wanted to quit that day. I wanted to drive off that cliff, Mike. I called my buddy, Andy. And Andy talked me off the ledge. And then I'm back at it tomorrow. I got home. Oh, by the way, I hit an owl on my way home. It was crazy. That night was definitely it was a character building night for sure. Owl was stuck in my bumper. I dragged it for like 200 feet, 200 miles. I got home. I was so tired. I left it in the bumper, and my kids got out, and Nan's already coming in, and they're like, "Dad, what is that?" I'm like, "Don't look at it. Keep moving. Get out of the car." But life is funny sometimes, man. Sometimes things happen good. Sometimes things happen bad. But yeah,